Alright, so our front page is looking good. Now we're going to move on to the blog page. So we don't have a link for our blog, so let's go create that. We're going to go to menus and say blog, add to menu, and save menu. Reload. If we click on blog, it's basically just all static content because we put all of our stuff, all of our code in our front page. If we look at index.php, it's still just all static. Alright, so we're going to have to change this quite a bit. First off, let's get rid of the Jumbotron. We're not going to use that. We are going to use a section for a page title. And I'm actually going to paste that in. Okay, so we have a section, has a class of title bar, and basically we're just outputting an H1 with the text of blog. Alright, now down here, these are the three boxes. We don't want those either, so we're going to get rid of that entire section. These here are the widgets, but they're still the static content. What we can do is grab the code from front page. Okay, where we have these. Copy that, and then we'll bring that to index. And let's replace these two sections. Okay, so save, let's take a look. Alright, so we have our title bar, we have our two widgets, and our footer widgets. Now in the middle here somewhere is where we need our content. So let's do section class, and we'll say row main. We're going to have a container. And now we're going to have a sidebar, but we only want the sidebar if there's sidebar widgets enabled. So what we'll do is we'll do an if statement here. We'll say if is active sidebar, and then pass in the text sidebar. Then we'll do an else. And then end if. Okay, so the idea that I want to do here is that if there is a sidebar, we want a div with 8 columns. If there isn't, we want a div with 12 columns because we want it to go across the whole page. So let's go ahead and do that. So if there's a sidebar, it'll be 8. If there's not, it'll be 12. Okay, and then of course we need that div to end. And then if there's a sidebar, again, we're going to test. Okay, if there is, then we're going to want a 4-column div. Just like that. So we'll say main, side. Now since there's no sidebar enabled, we should get a 12-column div. Okay, now we haven't added the sidebar widget, so let's do that real quick. We'll go to functions and we'll copy that. Sidebar. Now I want to use Bootstrap panels. This is something that we didn't do in the HTML theme. So I'm just going to paste this in. You guys can copy it. We just have a div with the class of panel, panel default, and sidebar widget. Before the title, we have panel heading with an H3 with panel title. So we'll save that. Alright, now let's go back into, well actually before we do that, let's just put in our sidebar. That. Okay, and then let's focus on the main content now. So of course we want to check for posts. So we'll say if have posts then we want our while loop, so we're going to say PHP while have posts. Okay, and then we got to do the post. Alright, and then in here we'll have our article, and that'll have a class of post. Actually, you know what? Instead of typing this all out, let's just copy what we have in the HTML file. Okay, so I just want to grab the article. And after the article, let's just put a class of clear, and then we'll close that. Alright, now this is obviously just static content, so let's just see what it looks like first. Okay, so that's good. Now we want to just replace the static content with dynamic stuff. Okay, so let's do the image. Get rid of that. I'm going to put a div here, and we'll give it a class of post thumbnail, and then inside there let's check to see if there is a thumbnail, and if there is, we'll display it. Okay, just paste that in, and then for the read more, I'm going to replace that with an A tag that goes to the permalink, and oops, get rid of that. Alright, so that's good. Now down here where we have the meta, I'm going to replace the user here and the link with this. Okay, we're just going to get author post URL. You want to pass in as a parameter get the author ID and then the author. Okay, for the date, this is really easy. We can just say PHP the time, and then we'll just add some formatting in here. Okay, and then the categories, I'm going to just replace that. This is kind of long. We have to get the array and then kind of loop through it. So let me just paste that in. Okay, so from here to here, that gets the categories and displays them. Then down here, this is the easy part. We just need the title. We can say PHP the title. And then here will be the excerpt. Alright, let's go ahead and reload. Okay, so now this is all dynamic. We're not seeing the image because we don't have one yet. Alright, we need to add the ability to actually have an image. So let's go to functions PHP. We're going to go up to the business theme setup function, and we just need to add that functionality. So add theme support for post thumbnails. Okay, now we can go to our back end, and I'm going to go to posts, blog post 1. Down here we have the featured image. I'm going to go ahead and set that. And let's see. I'm going to grab blog1.jpg and set that as the featured image. Update. Okay, we'll do the same thing in blog post 2. Set that. Update. Now if we go to the front end, we have our images. The width is correct, but we need to set the height to auto. So let's go to our style sheet, and we should have article post image right here. We'll say height auto. Okay, now we need some space up here, so let's go to where we have the title bar. Should be somewhere in here. Right here. Let's just add margin bottom 20 pixels. Okay. So that looks good. Now for the sidebar widget, let's do that. Let's go to Appearance Widgets, and I'm going to grab the categories and bring that to the sidebar. And we're also going to bring over the archives. Okay, now if we reload, now we have our sidebar, and you can see that the width adjusted correctly. I want to make these look a little different. I'm going to add some CSS to make this green, and then also fix up the LIs. So let's go into our CSS. I'm just going to add in for my panel heading, give it the green background. Alright. And then the sidebar widget styling. Okay, this is for the LI. We'll add some padding, a border to the bottom, actually a border around the whole thing. And there we go. If we click on technology, shows us those posts, business. Alright, so that's working great. Now, in the next video, we're going to take care of the single view, okay, because right now it doesn't look too good. It looks just like the blog roll. And we'll also take care of the archived posts, because when we click on, let's say, a category, we want the category name to be up here. Okay, so we'll get to that next.